me see.
Good evening. This is the time set for the 11 p.m. calendar on January 26, 2025. The court's orders for the taking of DNA and fingerprints that were given on the first calendar of this month shall apply to all matters on this calendar. I'll call you each one at a time to the podium, and I'll provide a second name to sit in the chair right outside of this room. If we can start with Mr. Rodriguez Garcia to the podium and Mr. Peeler to the chair.
Mr. Peeler? What the heck?
Okay.
Good evening, sir. Can I get your name and date of birth?
My name is George Rodriguez Garcia. My birthday is July 27, 2002.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like we're here on a new Superior Court case, and it does include some new charges. We have one count of kidnapping, a Class 2 felony. Another count of kidnapping, interfering with government or police functions, Class 4 felony. One count of aggravated assault on a firefighter, EMT, or medic, a Class 6 felony. One count of resisting arrest, a Class 6 felony. One count of obstructing government operations, a Class 1 misdemeanor. And one count of disorderly conduct, a Class 1 misdemeanor. Probable cause has been found, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And I'm going to give you some hearings in the downtown Superior Court. You're going to have a status conference on January 31st, 2025 at 8:30 in the morning. Okay. And a preliminary hearing on February 4th, 2025 at 8:30 in the morning. In this case, you do have a secured appearance bond of $15,000. If you post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services, and they will equip you with electronic monitoring. You'll also have release conditions, and those will be written in your paperwork, and they do include not returning to the scene of the crime, no contact with any alleged victims, witnesses, or arresting officers. You need to ensure that you attend those hearings to avoid any failure to appear warrants, as well as any forfeiture of any bond you may post. Did you have any questions?
No.
Okay, if you'll step to your left, I'll hand you your paperwork, sir. Thank you. Mr. Peeler to the podium and Mr. Jackson to the chair.
It's way late for him. Wow.
Good evening, sir. Can I get your name and date of birth?
Sam Peeler, 3/21/97.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like we do have a new Superior Court case this evening.
Absolutely.
It does include some new charges. One count of aggravated assault, violation of a protection order, Class 6 felony. 3 counts of aggravated assault on an officer, a Class 6 felony. 1 count of resisting arrest, a Class 6 felony. 1 count of disobeying an order of the court, a Class 1 misdemeanor, and 1 count of criminal damage, a Class 1 misdemeanor. Probable cause has been found, and I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. I'm going to give you some hearings in the downtown Superior Courthouse, and the first one is going to be a status conference on January 31st at 8:30 in the morning, and a preliminary hearing on February 4th at 8:30 in the morning. In this case, you do have a secured appearance bond of $10,000.
Yes.
If you post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services, and they'll equip you with electronic monitoring. In addition to that, you'll have written conditions of release, and it will include not returning to the scene of the crime, no contact with any alleged victims, witnesses, or complainants, no contact with any arresting officers, and you must obey all terms of any order of protection that has been issued or may be issued in the future. Did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. And can we please reprint that? If you'll take a seat out there, they'll give you your paperwork, okay?
Hey, how are you guys doing tonight?
Mr.
Really appreciate
Jackson
you guys.
to the podium, and Mr. Alvis Young to the chair.
And a huge, thanks you guys for following my second account. I just got
Hello,
live
Your
enabled.
Honor. I'm Robert Jackson. January 28th, 1983 is my birthday.
Thank you for that. It does look like we're here on a new Superior Court case. And we've got some new charges. We've got 1 count of dangerous drug possession for sale, Class 2 felony. 1 count of theft means of transportation, a Class 3 felony. 1 count of burglary possession tools, a Class 6 felony. And 3 counts of theft control of stolen property, a Class 1 misdemeanor. Probable cause has been found, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And I'm going to give you some hearings in the downtown Superior Courthouse. You're going to have a status conference on January 31st at 8:30 a.m. and a preliminary hearing on February 4th at 8:30 a.m. You do have a secured appearance bond of $7,500. If you post that bond, you have written conditions of release. It does include not returning to the scene of any alleged crime, no contact with any alleged victims or witnesses. You need to ensure you attend those hearings to avoid any failure to appear warrants and forfeiture of any bonds you may post. Did you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Because of circumstances, I'm asking may I be OR'd because I have no failure to appears, and I always show up, and I do have 7 kids and a wife.
What?
And so may I have the bond reduction also, or? Or
No, you may not.
So I did factor the 15 things within the statute when setting the bond, and I do also show that you have 3 prior failure to appears along with a couple of felony convictions. And so based on that, the bond will remain at the $7,500. However, because it is a secured appearance bond, it does mean you can use a bail bonding company, which is typically about 10% plus collateral. So when you get to the back next to the phones, they typically have multiple bonding companies that you can contact to see which contracts each of them offer. Any other questions, sir?
Also, can you just see in there that me and my wife have been going through some things, and we have 7 kids together, and we're trying to work out our marriage, but it's been a lot of false reports in there. And you can see in there that I have been let go numerous of times because of all these false reports. And this report incident, as we speak of, I was standing outside of a car with no drugs on me. They never seen me in a car, but they see me helping somebody with another car next to a stolen car. So under those circumstances, I shouldn't even be charged with whatever drugs that they found in a car that I never was in, or that I never was even by. They never even see me touch this car.
Hey, Dylan, how's he going to feed the kids?
Tonight, we're not finding any guilt, and so that's why I am going to appoint an attorney for you. Although they are alleging that as a factor for tonight's purposes, and they may move forward with that charge, you are entitled to a trial. So when you speak to your attorney, you will meet with your attorney on January 31st. Provide that information to them because that may be useful for your trial going forward, because it's the state that has indicated that that's what they intend to charge. But again, we're not finding any guilt today, and so you do have an opportunity to go to trial and fight that if you don't believe that that's an appropriate count.
There it is.
And because you're so honorable, Judge, may I please have a bond reduction? Because of I have 7 kids, and I'm might be going through a divorce.
Unfortunately, the bond will remain tonight. If you are still in custody and you haven't posted that bond on January 31st, you can ask your attorney to make an argument to the court at that time for a bond reduction. If you'll please step to your left, they'll give you your paperwork. So
Man, he's pulling out every trick in the book right there.
Mr. Young to the podium and Mr. Stevenson to the chair.
But the judge definitely not falling for the old folks setup tonight, not today.
Good evening, sir. Can I get your name and date of birth?
Alvis Ong, September 21st, 2005.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like we're here on a new Superior Court case, and it does include some new charges. We have 1 count of unlawful flight from a law enforcement vehicle, a Class 5 felony. We have 1 count of reckless driving, a Class 2 misdemeanor, and 1 count of exceeding the posted speed by over 20 miles per hour, a Class 3 misdemeanor. Probable cause has been found, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And I'm going to give you some hearings in the downtown Superior Courthouse. You're going to have a status conference on January 31st at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 4th at 8:30. In this case, you do have a secured appearance bond of $5,000. If you post that bond, you have written conditions of release, and you need to ensure you attend those hearings to avoid any failure to appear warrants and forfeiture of any bonds you may post. Dates, times, and location of those hearings will be in your paperwork. Did you have any questions?
No.
Okay, if you'll step to your left, they'll hand you your paperwork. Thank you, sir.
Hey, don't forget. Hey,
Mr.
hit that follow.
Stevenson to the podium and Ms. Hurtado to the
Hit
chair.
that follow. It's free 99. Doesn't cost you anything. Don't be a Scrooge McDuck. Don't be a Mr. Krabby Patties.
Good evening. Can I get your name and date of birth?
Calvin Stevenson, 51076.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like you're here on a failure to appear bench warrant that was issued for you. I'm going to affirm the attorney that was previously appointed to represent you and give you a status conference in the downtown Superior Courthouse on January 29th at 8:30 a.m. I am affirming the secured appearance bond that was set in the amount of $5,000 in this case. The previous release conditions that were provided will remain, and those written conditions will be included in your paperwork that you'll receive here. You'll need to ensure you attend this hearing on January 29th to avoid any future failure to appear warrants, as well as any forfeiture of any bonds you may post on this case. Did you have any questions?
So, I still have to pay a bond to get out, or?
You'll have to post a $5,000 bond to be released. If you don't post that, you'll remain in custody until at least the hearing on January 29th.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay. If that's your left, they'll give you your
Today
paperwork.
we're in Arizona. We're in the big
Ms.
AZ.
Hurtado to the podium and Mr. Herrera to the chair.
But I represent Los Angeles, California 213. OMG, if you ask, you shall receive. That's right.
Good evening, ma'am. Could I get your name and date of
She
birth?
gotta get it
Good
now.
evening, Olivia Award Hurtado, 11281.
Thank you, ma'am. And it does look like we're here on a new Superior Court case with some new charges. It does include 1 count of theft means of transportation, a Class 3 felony, 1 count of unlawful means of transportation or control, a Class 5 felony, and 1 count of knowingly displaying a false license plate, a Class 2 misdemeanor. Probable cause has been found, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you and give you some hearing dates. You're going to have a status conference on January 31st at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 4th at 8:30.
Okay.
You do have a secured appearance bond in this case of $5,000.
Okay.
If you post that bond, you have written conditions of release that include not returning to the scene of any alleged crime, no contact with any alleged victims, complainants, or witnesses. Dates, times, and location of those hearings will be in your paperwork. You need to ensure you attend those to avoid a failure to appear warrant, as well as forfeiture of any bonds you might post. Did you have any questions?
I did. I had a couple of them. I am a California resident, and I have children back in Sacramento. I did get arrested out here, so I don't know how that works with me going back to California. So those are my questions for you.
So because you have a pending felony in the state of Arizona, you are not to leave the state while those charges are pending. And so you will be required to remain in the state of Arizona.
Okay.
You will meet with your attorney on January 31st. At that time, it is an opportunity you can speak with your attorney to see if they can make any request to the assigned judge at that time as to whether or not they're going to make an exception to that.
And that's when I speak to the judge then, or my...
You'll speak to your attorney, but then, yes, you will see a judge on that day. The first one will be January 31st. So today is the 26th. So you're looking at, today's Sunday night, it'll be Friday morning.
Right. And then I wanted to request, am I allowed to get OR or?
So today you do have a secured appearance bond, so you won't be released unless you post the $5,000 bond.
Okay.
If you don't post it, you'll remain in custody until at least that hearing on January 31st.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'll step to your left, they'll give you your paperwork.
Hey, Nathan.
Mr. Herrera to the podium.
She might be stealing your car, your
And Mr.
wallet,
Brown to
and
the
your
chair.
heart. A 3-for-1 right there. Proceed with caution. Proceed with caution.
Good evening. Could I get your name and date of birth?
Anthony Frank Herrera, 06/21/1998.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like we have 2 cases on the calendar here this evening. The first one is a new Superior Court case. It includes 1 count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, Class 4 felony. Probable cause has been found, and I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And I'm going to give you some hearings. You're going to have a status conference January 31st at 8:30. And a preliminary hearing February 4th at 8:30. In this case, you do have a secured appearance bond of $450. It does look like you're also on probation. And so when you were picked up for this new offense, it's a violation of term 1 of your probation. So I'm going to appoint counsel in that case as well, and you'll have a probation revocation hearing February 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And you have a secured appearance bond of $50 in that case. So between the 2 cases, it's a total bond of $500. If you post that bond, you have written conditions of release. It will include contacting your probation officer within 72 hours. You do have 3 upcoming hearings between the 2 cases. The first one being January 29th, so that's this upcoming Wednesday. You'll need to ensure you attend all those hearings. Dates, times, locations will be in your paperwork. Did you have any questions?
Yes, I do have one question. Me and my girlfriend, we just got an apartment literally less than a week ago, and we put all of our money into it. I'm just not positive that I'll have the money to make bond, and I don't want us to lose it. If you can check, I comply on probation. I've never failed. I've never been a flight risk or anything. So if I could just ask for the opportunity to get like a OR or maybe even a pre-trial or something, just to get me back out there, just so I can not lose what I just got, I would appreciate it.
So it looks like you were placed on probation in March of 2024.
Yeah.
And in that probation, the charges leading up to that did involve the use of a weapon. And so since you were just recently placed on probation and were already found in possession of a weapon, the bond tonight is going to stay at the $500.
Okay. So that's another thing too. Like, so I haven't even I was just in the car. I wasn't driving. It's not my car. I didn't have nothing to do with it. So that's why I'm still confused. I'm like, I feel like they're flagging me just based off of my priors, and I don't know.
So you aren't being found guilty tonight, and so you are being appointed counsel. And so that would be a good recommendation for you to tell your attorney as to why you believe you want to go to trial or you want to move forward with fighting those charges. There are things your attorney can do.
You said go to trial?
You're entitled to a
Oh,
trial.
okay, I'm
Doesn't
sorry.
mean you will go to trial. You'll speak to your attorney, and obviously they
Okay.
will discuss that further with you and make some suggestions moving forward in the court process. But you're entitled to a trial before you are found guilty. And so give all of that information to your attorney because they can use that as it relates to moving your case
I
forward.
appreciate it. So right now we're set for $500
It's
secured bond?
$500 secured bond. You can't use
Okay.
the bail bonding company. Your first hearing, again, is this Wednesday. That's the probation hearing, so you could resolve the probation issue that day. If not, you'll have your next hearing on the new charges January 31st.
Okay.
Okay?
A $500 secured means there's no 10%, right? It's the full 500?
Well, because it is a secured bond, you can use a bail bonding company, and it typically is 10%
Okay.
less collateral. That's up to each bail bonding company. Everybody's could be a little bit different
Okay.
on the percentage they require, but that's the average is 10%.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Hey, I'm no
Mr.
expert
Brown
on this,
to
but
the podium and Mr. Matthews to the chair.
if he tells his public pretender that that's not his gun, then he's putting on
Good
whoever
evening,
he
sir.
was
Can I
in the
get your
car
name and
with.
date of birth?
Damani Brown, 72398.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like you're here on a failure to appear bench warrant. Looks like you missed a hearing. I'm going to go ahead and affirm the attorney that was previously appointed to represent you. And I'm going to give you a status conference on February 5th at 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
I'm affirming the bond that was set in this case, which is a secured appearance bond of $500.
Okay.
The previous written conditions that were provided to you will remain in this case, which do include no contact with any alleged victims, witnesses, or complainants. Make sure you attend this upcoming hearing on February 5th to avoid any future failure to appear warrants, along with any forfeiture of any bonds.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions?
If my attorney told me that, because my attorney told me I might not have to show up at that on December 5th. I know that was the one they put my warrant out for, and I didn't show up. So, how would I go off of telling the next judge when I go to my hearing? Do I just let them know that I didn't know it, or... Because I don't want them to think I didn't go. And then even on January 9th, when I was supposed to show up, I showed up on Jefferson. I showed up, did everything, and then the judge told me I had a warrant. And she said that I had to call my attorney. I called my attorney, but he never answered me or got back to me, so...
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why they would tell you that because nothing was vacated in the court file, but I would discuss that with the attorney when you meet them there because that is some information they can provide if there was some miscommunication between you and counsel or between counsel and the court. They can let the court know. That way they'll have that information when making their decision.
Yeah, because I haven't missed no dates or nothing, so I was on it too. When I showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, you have a warrant for your arrest." I'm like, "What?" You know, so thank you so much.
Definitely, of course.
And then just the $500 bond, that's it.
Correct, and if you post the bond, then you'll be released, and then, of course, again, in the paperwork, it'll give you your next hearing, which will now be February 2nd.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hey, man,
sir. Have a good
everybody
night.
tonight, man, there are a bunch of
Mr.
angels
Matthews
tonight.
to the podium.
Everybody, nobody
And
violates
Mr. Taylor to the
probation.
chair.
Nobody commits no new offenses. Man, how did these people get so unlucky? Very unfortunate.
Good evening. Could I get your name and date of birth?
My name's David Matthews, April the 1st, 1956.
Thank you, sir. And it does look like you're here on a failure to appear bench warrant. Looks like you missed a hearing. I'm going to go ahead and affirm the attorney that was previously appointed to represent you, and I'm going to give you a hearing for February 5th at 8:30. Now, it'll be a status conference in the downtown Superior Courthouse. I'm affirming the cash-only appearance bond of $50. If you post that bond, you'll have written conditions of release, and they are the same that were previously given to you, which include not returning to the scene of any alleged crime, no contact with any alleged victims, complainants, or witnesses. Did you have any questions, sir?
But see, I ain't got the money.
If you don't post the bond, you'll remain in custody until your hearing on February 5th. Okay, if you'll step to your left, they'll give you your paperwork.
He just took it on the chin. There it is.
Mr.
No
Taylor
sob
to the
stories.
podium and Ms. Squires to the chair.
Let's keep it moving. I like that. Oh,
Good
orange is the
evening,
new
sir.
black.
Can I get your name and date of birth?
Bryn Joseph Taylor, 21988.
Thank you, sir. And I do see that you were previously seen this morning at 5 a.m., and you were given a bond of $10,000. Has that bond been posted?
Yes.
Okay. When did that get posted?
I don't know. I just asked the gentleman out front, and it's been posted. I don't know. I've been upstairs in the room sleeping. I really don't know.
Okay. Officers, can you confirm that that was posted?
Yeah, I just asked the gentleman out there in the room, and he said it was, so it should.
Okay. And officer, just to clarify, yes, you can confirm, or yes, it was posted? Okay, thank you so much. So while he looks into that, we'll have a little bit of a discussion. So here's the situation. It looks like you're here on a warrant coming out of the Peace and Justice Court.
Yeah, I know.
It looks like you may have failed to appear, I think, at a hearing, and it related to littering and polluting.
What happened is, I paid the bond, and just Payson's just so far to get to, and that's just what happened.
Okay. So if he can confirm that your bond has been posted, then I will release you on your own recognizance and give you a hearing.
That'd be awesome, because I can just call them and get that taken care of. My family, is really stepped up to help me. This is, the last time they're going to help me, so that's why that bond got paid.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to straighten my life out, really.
Okay. So you're going to have an arraignment hearing in the Peace and Justice Court, and that's on January 29th at 8:30. So intend on planning on going to that hearing if you're released from custody by if in fact the $10,000 did post and nothing else comes up. I'm going to include the Peace and Justice Court phone number. You can contact them prior to that hearing and see if you can work it out, get a virtual hearing. But if you don't, you do need to attend. If you don't, they'll issue a warrant. Once we get confirmation that other bond posted, I'll release you on your own recognizance.
Okay.
If it wasn't posted, I'm going to have to put a $50 placeholder bond.
Okay. I'm hip. I have one question for you. Maybe if you know, do you know if they have a video court possibly that I could call since I don't live in Payson?
I don't know if Payson specifically does. A lot of places do these days.
I see that. I feel like that would be a reasonable request,
Right. I just don't know if that particular court does, which is why I'll include the phone number so you can call them. A lot of courts seem to have that these days, but I just don't know specifically if they do. Plus, most courts require permission, so just finding out that they have it isn't enough. So if you do find that out, make sure that you speak to somebody that can give you specific permission.
That's what I will do, because this has been going on for a little bit too long.
Okay.
You don't say. He's a well-spoken young man. I like that, but all that littering, you gotta cut it out.
I'll just hang tight while they just confirm that, and then I'll
all that crossing your arms in front of your honor. That's a sign of disrespect right there. What are you hiding? He's hiding something. Did anybody check his prison wallet before he got in? I don't know.
Yeah, that's when they checked on out there. So.
Okay.
He's definitely
all right, so they'll just confirm that, and like I said, I don't want to change the orders until we know for sure, because if I release you OR and something happens and you remain in custody and I don't place the bond, they're not going to make you available for the hearing, and you're not going to get any credit for any time served.
Oh yeah, we don't want that.
So we just want to make sure we have everything before we...
Thank you for protecting my booty, my behind, I should say.
What?
Of course, we just don't want...
You guys heard that, right?
Additional.
I have already had so much mess with the judicial system. I was such a dumb idiot when I was younger. I had my grandparents paid all my fines and everything, and I didn't learn anything, to be honest with you. And it just took them dying and me getting in trouble and going through the system myself, and to realize how much they really helped me,
Yeah, keep on talking. Keep on
definitely.
talking, you litter bug. Somebody check his cavity, please. Get the gloves. Preferably with no lube.
Yeah, I was trying to call right now to get that $250 bond posted, but I couldn't get a hold of anybody in time.
Okay, yeah.
Filthy litter bug, you. Despicable. Let me take the timestamp right here. He's trying to give the sob story. Yeah, this is live. Hell yeah, it's live.
Yeah, because the gentleman out there said the only thing that was holding me was a $250 thing and then possibly a $50 for the FTA.
Listen,
possibly. That's what he was saying.
Okay.
What up?
Hey, what up? The FTA on here as well, so hopefully it's all...
Yeah, because it's never been two. It's always just been $250. I've had to pay it. I've paid it like 3 or 4 times now.
Okay.
Your grandparents paid for it, fool. You just said it.
The 10,000. Okay, so that I'm going to edit my release orders to include no appointment of counsel because you're not entitled to court-appointed counsel due to the nature of your charges.
Yeah.
Your hearing's going to remain at the January 29th at 8:30, and then I'll change it to release on your own recognizance. So long as nothing else comes up, and they've obviously just confirmed the 10,000 was posted, then you should be released, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
If you will step to your left and take a seat out there, they'll get you your new printed paperwork here.
Oh man, this guy's as good as he's as good as
Miss Squires
the hobo
to the podium.
and the 5 dogs. If you haven't checked out the 5 dog video, check out the last video I posted up on my profile. But if you're a dog lover, proceed with caution.
Could I get your name and date of birth?
Belinda Squires, 4579.
Thank you, ma'am. And it does look like we're here on a new Superior Court case. It includes 1 count of criminal trespass in the 1st degree, a Class 6 felony. Probable cause has been found, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you and give you some hearings. You're going to have a status conference on February 10th at 8:30 a.m. and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30 a.m. I am releasing you today to pretrial services. You are going to have written conditions of release. It does include not returning to the scene of the crime, no contact with any alleged victims, witnesses, or complainants. In addition to that, in your paperwork, it's going to have the dates, times, locations of your hearings, and then you're also going to get an envelope. It's that envelope that's going to give you the instructions for pretrial services. Make sure you read that and contact them once you're released.
I'll make sure I read everything, yes, Your Honor.
Anything else? Do you have any questions?
It's the last video I posted up.
Properly, but you already had mentioned pretrial. The only question I have is, like I said, I don't know how to word it, but it's just weird. I'm not even moved in yet, and I'm already trespassed from my own place. It's weird.
I hate when that happens.
It's just really weird, but I'll follow the instructions that are given.
Okay.
So from what I'm hearing, you're saying pretrial release, which means there'll be services involved of some sort.
Yes,
I'm familiar with
they'll provide
pretrial,
some assistance,
but
some
not
reminders.
Okay, yeah. I'm just not
So they will have some services, and then, of course, I've appointed counsel, so you'll meet with them on February 10th.
Okay, Goldberg and Osborne, please, no.
I've appointed the Maricopa County Public Defender to appoint someone to you. Obviously, you're welcome to hire someone at your own expense, but if you don't, we do have somebody in place. Okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Just up to your left, they'll give you your
God bless.
paperwork.
Have a good night.
You too.
Hey, if you haven't done
Case
so,
number
please,
12,
por favor,
William
hit that follow
Condolit,
button.
Date
It's
of birth,
free
August 18,
99.
1980, will proceed as a house call directly after this recording due to being a danger to self. We are here on a new Superior Court case with a 1 count of ag assault with a deadly weapon, a Class 3 felony. Probable cause has been found, and I am going to appoint an attorney to represent him. I'm setting a status conference on January 31st at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 4th at 8:30. I'm setting a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. In addition, there will be written conditions of release, which include not returning to the scene of any alleged crime, no contact with any alleged victims, witnesses, or complainants. If anything changes after I meet with him, I will update the written record. We will now stand at recess until the 5 a.m.
Damn. Damn it, man. That was it. Hey, guys, remember, please